Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wild. Today we are talking about the truth about gig work longevity. So recently I received an email from one of my subscribers, Dalton. Thank you so much for emailing me about this and making this video possible. And he wanted to ask me some questions about the longevity of gig work. And we did go over this on the Gone Wild live stream, and the replay is available on our Patreon. We are going to be going over some of the nuances here about the longevity of gig work. So in this video, we are talking about the truth about the longevity of gig work, what they are saying versus how it actually is, and everything in between. But before we do that, let's go over a quick disclaimer. The content of this video does not contain, is never intended to be, legal, business, financial, tax, or health advice of any kind. This video is for entertainment, educational, and informational purposes only. It is advised that you conduct your own research and consult with qualified professionals before applying anything you find online. I also want to be clear that everything that we're going to be going over is very market to market and case by case. What applies to me and my market may not apply to you. So with that said, let's get started. Hi, I read an article you wrote recently about the new reserved zones for DoorDashers and was kind of sad and confused about the part where you mentioned drivers who have been around a while being seen as liabilities to DoorDash. And I'm not quite sure what you meant by that. Are you saying that after a person dashes a while, they eventually get sort of squeezed off the platform? If yes, what could be done about it so said person can keep dashing? I currently rely on it heavily for my only income, and while I know it's not something you can really depend on solely for a full-time job, but due to my current situation, I really need to be able to do it for quite a lot longer, possibly several years until I can get some things in my life sorted out more. But even then, I definitely still need to do it some part time, at least in order to support myself. Could you please elaborate on what you meant and let me know if there's anything I could do to prepare for or preferably mitigate this from happening altogether? Thanks so much for your time. First of all, thank you for emailing me about this and making this video possible. Second, let's go over what it means to be an asset versus a liability to some of these platforms. Asset versus liability as a driver on DoorDash. Platform view. When you get started as a driver, especially on DoorDash, a lot of times you are coming from a W-2 job and you might start taking more orders that you should that just don't make sense for you as somebody in business for themselves. You take orders that have more miles than money. You tolerate poor behavior from restaurants or customers, and you kind of just accept it as part of the work you do. DoorDash makes a lot of money from drivers like this and are treated as assets. You learn that over time you shouldn't be doing that and you should be more selective. Maybe you should start learning from other drivers and follow certain content creators talking about this, whether it's through a blog or whether it's through their YouTube channel or their TikTok, whatever that looks like for you. Because maybe they're making the same amount of money or more money, but their expenses aren't as high because of that, and they are able to have more profit because of that. Over time, platforms sort drivers based on reliability, cost, and acceptance patterns. And that's how large systems stay efficient at scale. And from a system perspective, that shifts how you're categorized. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because you're no longer operating at the lowest possible cost for them. And as you continue to dash, the platform responds to these patterns over time, not through sudden punishment, but through gradual prioritization and incentive changes. Over time, platforms begin categorizing drivers based on reliability, cost, acceptance, and acceptance behavior. This isn't personal, it's structural optimization. As drivers become more selective and cost aware, platforms often need to offer higher incentives to maintain fulfillment. And that said, that doesn't mean you're dead in the water. It means you have to change your strategy to mitigate that. How to extend your gig life. Now, I understand you said you need to do this for a few more years, and while DoorDash can be okay as an option, the main method to increase your gig lifespan is not to depend solely on DoorDash. It's to expand beyond DoorDash into means of income in the same or similar line of work. 3 layers of longevity. There are 3 layers to staying viable long-term in gig work. First, you have platform diversification. Second is independent income. And third is asset development. Now, what that might look like in real life is multi-apping and catering work to create day-to-day stability, building private clients, content, and referral income for independence, pursuing certifications, contracts, or formal business structures for long-term leverage, and each layer gives you more control. The more layers you build, the less vulnerable you are to any single app, algorithm change, or policy shift. Operational reality check. Also, money made in the gig economy is entirely predicated on you working full-time, which leads to other questions. How confident are you in the longevity of your vehicle? How confident are you in your ability to work full time on these apps? How confident are you to adapt to the changes on the platform that will come your way? The answers to that is very market to market and case by case, so make sure you're doing your research on your end. Protect your operating history. If you plan on relying on gig work long term, you have to start treating it like a real business, not just an app you open and close every day. That means documenting your activity consistently, your weekly and monthly earnings, your mileage and operating expenses, wait time and pickup delays, tip discrepancies, support conversations and disputes, any warnings, violations, or account issues. Most drivers don't think about this until something goes wrong, and by then it's usually too late. Having clean records protects you in 3 ways. First is financially, because you know your profit and not just your deposits. Second is legally, because you have evidence if anything is disputed. And third is strategically, because you see patterns before they hurt you. That's not paranoia, it's business governance. If these platforms are going to treat you like an independent contractor, you have to protect yourself like one. No one is going to do that for you but you. For me, that starts with MileIQ. I use it as an operating history tracker when it comes to the trips I conduct on these apps. Every mile I drive for work gets logged, every trip gets categorized, and every report is exportable. So if I ever need to show how much I actually worked, or what it actually cost me to operate, or how my activity has changed over time, I'm not guessing. I have documentation available to me. The link to that is going to be in the description. Feel free to check that out. Investing in yourself. Here's another question. What are you doing with the money you're earning? Are you paying down debt? Are you investing in assets that produce income? Are you building systems that make your operation more efficient? Because when you're tracking your income properly, you also have to track taxes properly, whether that's mileage, platform info, crypto. You need clean records that protect you. And tools like CoinTracker are great if you are investing in crypto, because when everything is documented correctly, you spend less time guessing and more time making informed decisions. Remember, anything that produces income also creates taxable events. If you don't stay organized, those events can turn into problems later. And that's why we're working on tools and reporting systems as well that help drivers document and understand what's really happening across platforms, so fewer people are left guessing and more people are operating with real information. Final thoughts. The reality is longevity in gig work isn't about luck. It's about structure. Drivers who treat this like a business last longer, and drivers who treat it like a temporary hustle burn out faster. The difference isn't talent. It's systems, documentation, and strategy. And if you build those early, you give yourself more options later. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, check out my website, drivenwyld.com, if you would like to learn more about some of the services and gig platforms we have talked about in the past and are offering to gig workers today. And if you want to stay on the cutting edge of what's happening in the gig economy today and be to know what most people are talking about, make sure to check out our new channel, the Gone Wild Live Clips and Podcast, where we take the live streams we hold on Thursdays at 9 p.m., cut them down to more digestible clips, and have them posted. Once again, thank you guys so much.